is Dr. George, and I am here not on a Tuesday, but for the last day of February for our More Than a Month edition. And when you have authors that are willing to give their time, you just make time and you make room for them. So I have two authors tonight, and I will tell you, one of them is nervous. So you guys have to encourage both of them very, 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 very much. Encourage them, use their names, let them know that if you like their book, you know how you guys do. You're a great audience. So put where you're from, and we'll get started. So we have two books. The first book is Christopher the Toothless Boy, and I have definitely been there before in elementary school. And then I have No One to Play With from Tawana Trammell. And I didn't say the author of this book, Etoy Johnson. If I said that wrong, she'll tell me. So go ahead, put those comments. I'll wait for those comments, and I will bring them out now.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So tell me a little bit while they're coming in, they'll put comments. So while we're waiting for those comments to come up and start interacting, tell me a little bit of why you wrote Christopher the Toothless Boy. What inspired you?
Okay, so I'm a mother of 4 boys, and my boys are all grown now. But when they were growing up, every day was an adventure. And with my Christopher is actually my 3rd son. And so when his teeth started to fall out, he really started to freak out. And I'm like, it was God, but I wrote that book in like a day. Just from his expressions and what he was going through. And I'm like, listen, I'm going to sit down, and I knocked it out. Yeah, but that was my inspiration.
Love that. And hello, Crystal from Idaho. If you tell us your little one's name, we'll say their name as well. Now, Tawana, tell me about No One to Play With.
So I'm a school social worker, and we had an influx of students transferring into our school one year, and they were feeling like they didn't have anyone to play with because they're the new kid and was having challenges meeting new students. So I looked for something out there, a resource for a social group, a skills group, and I couldn't find it. So I decided to write the book myself.
Love it. That sometimes you have to do the job yourself. So yes. Hello. And you got a comment. Look what you've started. Knock them teeth out. Susan Kidder and Mr. Levan and Miss Sanchez and Miss Nightshade. Hello. And Miss SQ. Hello. So as they come in, I'll say hello. And so I am going to read our first book, Christopher the Toothless Boy. And so I'll put the information across the bottom. And after I'm finished reading the book, they can tell you where you can purchase the book. So here it is. And remember, I never read your book in advance. I've never opened it. So I've been holding it.
Wow.
So it's the first time for me. Okay. Yes, all right. So since May, I've been having your book since May 28, 2019. And here goes. And you have it illustrated by Adrian Elefunk. Is that?
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. And you even sent me a letter. So I always keep everything that you guys send if you're writing. I have your letter and where you signed it. So thank you for that. Yes. Because I never opened the book. Guess what? I never read the letter. So hi, Kylie. Hi, Kylie. And Kylie is from London. So hello. I think I got that right, Kylie. Hey. So here we go. Okay. One day there was a little boy named Christopher. Christopher had just turned 5 and he had already lost 2 of his teeth. In Christopher's eyes, it seemed like no matter how hard he tried, he lost a tooth. When he was happy, Christopher lost a tooth. When he was sad, Christopher lost a tooth. Christopher began to wonder what he could do to keep the tooth fairy away from his house. I always wanted the tooth fairy because there was always money involved, but let's see what happens. He thought back to the time when his first tooth came out and how excited he was. So there he is. And hello, Jennifer. He remembered running around the house showing everyone his tooth. He learned that losing a tooth meant that he would receive a visit from the tooth fairy. In Christopher's mind, a visit from the tooth fairy meant money. He began to wonder, how much will I get? What will I buy? And ultimately, how do I get it away from my greedy brothers, Janus? Did I say that right?
Yes.
Janus, Jason, and Jerron. or Jaron?
Jaron.
Jaron.
Yes, ma'am.
That night, Christopher received a visit from the Tooth Fairy. She left him a shiny new quarter underneath his pillow. When he awoke, he was so happy. He began to run and tell his family about his visit from the Tooth Fairy and the shiny new quarter that she left for him. As time went by, Christopher discovered he had another loose tooth. He was so excited. Again, he ran around telling his parents and brothers about his loose tooth and how soon he would have another visit from the Tooth Fairy. A couple of days later, while Christopher was at school, his tooth finally fell out. He eagerly ran home to share the news with his family. But his mistake was that he showed his grandfather. Uh-oh. Christopher ran up to his grandfather and said, Grandfather, look what I have. Grandfather replied, "Aw, Sonny, let me see what you have there." He held Christopher's tooth in his hand and told him a story of when he was a boy and how he lost his first tooth. Christopher was excited, so he sat down on his grandfather's lap and listened very closely. After his grandfather shared his childhood experience with Christopher, he told him of how his teeth were beginning to come out again now that he was older. Grandfather then said, "Sonny, we have something in common. Look, I just lost another tooth today." He pulled the tooth from his wallet and suddenly Christopher began to run down the hall screaming, "I don't want to look like grandfather. I don't want to be like grandfather." Ah! Well, I'm pretty sure grandpa had way less teeth than him. He'd been mortified too. He ran into his room with his brothers and they asked him what was wrong. Christopher told them about grandfather's story. His brothers replied, "Don't listen to grandfather. He tells everyone that story." Immediately, Christopher cheered up and was happy that his other teeth had not fallen out. However, soon his third tooth fell out and Christopher began to worry that he would end up just like his grandfather, toothless. He cried and ran screaming down the hall to his mother. Mommy, I'm going to look like grandfather. Help." When his brothers heard him crying, they began to tease him. They called him names like Snaggerpuss, Tooth Man. My sisters would do that, and I would do that to them. So, Tooth Man, and they even made up a song about him called Christopher the Toothless Boy. That night, Christopher told his mom, "I don't like losing my teeth anymore, but I sure do like getting quarters from the Tooth Fairy." When Christopher woke up the next morning, he was surprised to see that his tooth was not beneath his pillow and neither was the quarter. He began to cry. Sadly, he asked his parents, "What happened to the Tooth Fairy? Why did she take my tooth and she forgot to pay me?" Uh-oh. His parents told him that maybe the Tooth Fairy was rushing and forgot to leave him some money. They assured him that she would be back that night with his reward. That night, Christopher kissed his parents goodnight and headed to bed. When he returned to his room, however, he found his older brother, Janus, already asleep in his bed. Christopher decided not to wake his brother and instead to sleep in Janus's bed for the night. That night, the Tooth Fairy did revisit their home and she placed a shiny new quarter under Christopher's pillow. The next morning, Christopher woke up disappointed yet again. He desperately felt underneath his pillow and found nothing. He slowly walked to his parents' room to give them the bad news when all of a sudden, a gust of wind blew past him and knocked him down. When he looked up, he saw his older brother, Janus, showing his parents two shiny new quarters. Janus said, "Look, Mom and Dad, two new quarters, and I didn't have to lose any teeth for them." Christopher immediately got up off the floor and tried to take the quarters from Janus while screaming, "No fair, no fair, those are my quarters." Uh-oh, and that's one tough push. Looks like he put him to sleep. They teased and teased Christopher until his mother said, "The Tooth Fairy must have made an awful mistake, and I think that I'll call her." Janus, being much taller than Christopher, tossed the quarters to his other brother, Jason, to keep Christopher from getting them. Christopher's mother telephoned the Tooth Fairy, and after hearing about the mix-up, the Tooth Fairy was so sorry. She informed Christopher's mom that she would correct the problem and surely would not fail that night. After his mom hung up the telephone, she told Christopher that he would be surprised in the morning. Christopher began to run up and down the hall, excited about his good news. He could hardly wait to get to bed that night. After saying his prayers, Christopher excitedly went to sleep. While he was sleeping, the Tooth Fairy arrived at the Johnson home with a bag of shiny new quarters. She clearly felt bad about her mistake. The Tooth Fairy took her magic wand and tapped Christopher's pillow 2 times and gave him a fairy kiss. 2 shiny new quarters magically appeared under Christopher's pillow. The next morning, Christopher awoke to find 4 shiny new quarters, 2 from the Tooth Fairy and 2 from his big brother, Janus. The end. Oh my goodness, so double. Hi, Miss Duke, how are you? So that was our first book, but where can they buy this book? How can they purchase Christopher the Toothless Boy?
So right now they can go to Amazon.com, just type in the name Christopher the Toothless Boy, and actually it's on sale now.
Good. So you told us what inspired you to write the book, but in a little bit I'll ask you about your biggest takeaway. And Mia Sanchez, one of my principal friends, says, "Oh, it's such a great book. I love it for my school." And so I have another one. Aiden Wynn, hello everyone, good night. I know it's hard to say good night and you're not really going to bed, but we're going to put you there. We'll get you there. Hi, Crystal, how are you? My second book is No One to Play With by Tawana Trammell, illustrated by Mike Motz. So I have your letter as well. April 18th, 2019, and they're laughing because you guys that watch know that I never read the book in advance. So I never opened it. So I have to read my letter later. But we're going to go ahead and start the book. And I love when authors sign their books. I always like to show the kids that when you work hard to write something, that's the only book you get to write in is the one you write. So here we go. No One to Play With by Tawana Trammell, illustrations by Mike Motz. And she said this book is dedicated to the children I have serviced over the years that have felt like their voices go unheard. I want you to know social workers hear you and are concerned about your overall adjustment and well-being. All right, here we go. Today I got the bad news. We are moving again. Oh my goodness. Looks sad. As I stood in the kitchen with tears running down my face, my mom explained that due to adult business, we would be moving. I'm not sure what business she is referring to, but I wonder why adult business always becomes a problem for me. Look at her little tear. Oh, I shed a few of them Friday. Wonderful. Yes, it is. McHenry School, Newell School, Trammell School, Griffith School, Parham School. I've already been to 5 schools. I'm only in the 3rd grade. Every time I settle in and begin to make friends, it's time to go. I wonder if my mom understands how challenging it is for a girl my age to fit into a peer group and gain acceptance. Oh, I gotta switch my book at the bottom. There we go. As the new girl, I have to sit by myself at recess, during lunch, and even on the school bus. I have no one to talk to or laugh with. Instead, I just sit and watch my peers have fun, waiting and wishing someone would talk to me. I'm so glad that Kitty enjoyed the tooth book. Then after weeks or months of suffering, the day finally comes when I'm invited into a conversation and then a peer group. Just when I've begun to like my new school, it's time once again to move. How do I get my mom and others to understand how it feels to be the new kid? Hi, Ryan. I decided to share my thoughts and feelings with my mom this time. To my surprise, she did understand and promised to reach out to staff at my next school for assistance. The next school year, I entered my new school with my mom supporting me. On the first day, we met the school social worker. She greeted us with a smile. Mom explained our situation, and for the first time, I got to hear what adult business was causing us to move so frequently. I now knew that we were not moving because Mom did not care, but because she did. Love that. The social worker agreed to assist me with adjusting and include me in a girls group. I was excited about the support I was going to receive this time. Just got an all-girls group. Within a few weeks, I had settled into my new school. I had friends and had even joined a sports team. Looks like a sorority sports team. This was the best transition ever, thanks to my mom and the school social worker. And then you have a glossary, which I love, and it has the definition of acceptance, adjusting, challenging, frequently, peer group, school social worker, suffering, transition. And then there's a sheet where you can identify my feelings activity: when I'm disappointed, when I'm sad, when I'm confused, when I'm lonely, when I'm happy, when I'm excited, when I'm supported, when I'm scared. People I can express my feelings to are, and my social worker is. And there, most kids have to meet them through the book, but you guys get to meet her here. So tell them where they can buy this book.
So my book can be purchased on Amazon.com. Just type in "No One to Play With" and it should come up.
Love it. So one more time for those people that joined late. Tell them again why you wrote Christopher the Toothless Boy.
So I wrote Christopher the Toothless Boy. I have four boys. And at the time when Christopher's teeth started to come out, he was like just really dramatic about it. And he kind of drove me and his dad crazy, and his brothers. And so I just knocked it out. The book is more special to me now. His granddad just passed away like 3 weeks ago. So it makes it that much more special to me and my family now. So yeah.
Love that. And you have my condolences, but that is a sweet memory.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, it is.
So your inspiration behind No One to Play With
was the students that I was servicing that was transferring into new schools and just having difficulties adjusting. So I wanted to come up with a book that would help them and let them know that someone understood what they were going through. And it also allowed me the opportunity to share with students who were already in the schools to help them be more sensitive and compassionate to new students as they came into their classrooms.
Love that. So hi, Miss Sandra. And Miss Sanchez says she is ordering such amazing wisdom. So Christopher the Toothless Boy, we always do takeaways. So we're going to do a takeaway from Christopher the Toothless Boy. And the person that goes last is the person that wrote the book. Tawana, what is your takeaway? Because you know why I do that? Because what you intended us to learn from the book, people get so many different lessons from the book. So, Tawana, what is your takeaway?
That's not my book.
No, I know.
Oh, okay. So my takeaway is that you can find good in any situation. And with family support and understanding, it helps you go through those transitioning times.
Love that. My biggest takeaway from this book is you don't always expect things because it happens. You know, some things come routine and we just expect this is what's supposed to happen. And sometimes we have to break in order to understand the gift that we're given. And I think he appreciated those quarters at the end way more than the ones that he were getting at the beginning. So that was my takeaway. What was yours, Etoy?
My takeaway was finally seeing that the brothers just coming together, how, Janus, they kind of made fun of him and gave him a hard time. But at the end of the day, it was all about making him feel good. And how, he got a double blessing at the end of the book. It was that much more. So, yeah.
Love that. Now,
Yeah.
Mr. Mill, your book, but you go last this time. We're going to hear what our takeaways were. So,
Okay.
Etoy, your takeaway from her book.
I absolutely love your book. I think that it's a great tool for children that are transitioning to new schools because for the most part, they do get that like they're by themselves and left alone. I think what you put in there was great. Mom stepped up to the plate and helped her to transition a little easier. That was awesome. I loved it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Love it. So, my takeaway is sometimes we just think the worst and we just accept the worst that we're getting without asking why. And because this little girl expressed how she felt, she started to make others realize how she felt. And as adults, and this book always turns out to a lesson for an adult. Sometimes we think we're going through things alone and we put
Yeah.
ourselves in a little box. And then if we will just reach out, sometimes the solution is right around the corner. The minute she did it, her solution came and everything turned. So that's my takeaway. Now, what is yours?
So my takeaway is everyone needs friends. And while the book is about a little girl, as adults, we can identify when we go to new jobs, move to new communities, go to new churches, or wherever we're involved at, how we feel until we feel like we've made connections with people. And sometimes we ignore how children may feel in the same situation. So it's just that we need to be conscientious of what they're experiencing while we're experiencing our own stuff also. And just remember that everybody needs friends, kids, adults, all of us need someone. And so if we're nice, then we can help them adjust.
Love that. So Ashley Duke said double blessing in the book with the coins. And then hello, Marty. So we always like to do the takeaway and then any parting words that you would like to leave with the audience.
I would. I wanted to say, even for the children, parents, children, writing a book is so much fun. It allowed me to escape my adult life and just get into it with my children. And I'm like, just write down everything that your children are going through right now. I mean, every day is an adventure and everything can be a book and a learning experience for everybody.
Love that. What about you, Trammell?
I just want to first thank you so much, Miss George. I know you had my book a long time. Thank you so much for opening up this opportunity first and foremost, and just applaud you for what you do with Tucked In Tuesday. I think it's a phenomenal event, and just that you're so passionate about it. And to the students, I just want them to always remember that kindness counts. No matter what the situation, who it is, it's just nice to be kind. And kindness is the new cool. So be kind to people when they're coming into new situations. And remember to treat others like you want to be treated.
Thank you so much. And as I say, every Tuesday, and this Sunday, and it's not Tuesday, but I do say this every Tuesday, but this Sunday is the last day of February, and it concludes our More Than a Month edition. And let me tell you something. It does not have to stop here. There are tons of books that I still have by African-American authors and books with just African-American characters seen in a positive light. We don't always have to be the antagonist. We don't always have to be the bad guy. We don't always have to be the one receiving help. We can be the one helping. And I love that every single book that was featured this month did that. So I applaud you for writing a book like that. Thank you so much. And you've made some little girl's dream to be an author a little bit easier. And so Dr. George is thinking about writing a book as well, and I've tinkered with it, but I just haven't jumped. And so this is helping me to do it. And you, Miss Hero, writing a book in a day, let's just say yikety yike. Pressure. And so I have some comments going here. Miss Duke, my wonderful Miss Duke said Dr. George is awesome. And hello, Miss Flowers and Sophie. Miss Sanchez said, my takeaway is that Dr. George and these two authors rule the world. Well,
Aw.
that's more.
That's nice.
And lucky some people know how to connect with kids. And hi, Miss Chapman. And Mia gave you all a round of applause. And Aiden Wynn said, that's right. So as I every Tuesday, and I mean it, I absolutely mean it. If no one else tells you, Dr. George loves you. Have a great night. I'll see you guys Tuesday. And I think I have something really special Tuesday. Let me check my calendar before I say it. Yes. So our district did Read Across Texas, and they read one book. And it was Fenway and Hattie by Victoria Coy, and the whole district read it. So that author, the kids will get to meet that author Tuesday. And so make sure that you tune in for that special edition. So if no one else tells you, like I said, we all love you. Have an amazing evening. Good night, guys.
Good
Good
night.
night.